Hey, welcome everybody. It's another episode of Billy's Juice Plus podcast. So excited today to be on with Jennifer Saval. Jennifer, so thankful that you are here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah. So, guys, I'm going to read Jennifer's bio as I do at the beginning. So, if you haven't heard of Jennifer, you know who we have on today, and then we'll dive into the conversation. So, let me read the bio. Jennifer is a 75 Club presidential marketing director. Boom, we could just stop there. That's not, but we won't because there's a lot more. She was awarded 12 Club Rookie of the Year Elton Award in 2017, which is her very first Eltons, and she won. What a fun Eltons that must have been. She was nominated for the Elton for 12 Club of the Year in 2018. In 2019, she won 24 Club of the Year. Most recently in 2020, Jennifer won the Elton for 39 Club. So there's nothing you really haven't won. So that's pretty impressive. Jennifer earned National Marketing Director in just over 2 years and is raising up incredible leaders, including multiple other national marketing directors and QNMDs. Jennifer is retired from a successful career in corporate America, and for the last 12 years has been a stay-at-home mom with her husband Ben and two boys, Sutton and Luke. She was captain of her collegiate field hockey team. Whoa, that is very cool. Know that. Top tier in her pharmaceutical sales force and a successful realtor, but none of it compares to the passion and purpose she experiences helping others live healthier, stronger lives. Jennifer's Juice Plus business has created an additional full-time income stream that gives her family choices and the option to say yes to live life fuller and bigger. She is dreaming again and enjoying helping others fulfill their dreams too. It's so interesting. This is not even so guys, before we start, I always have a conversation with the person that comes on and I send them questions. And now I'm going to throw Jennifer a curveball at the very beginning, which I'm
Oh
sure she
no.
appreciates. Yes, I'm sure you. But Jennifer, it's so amazing as we get into your story, how you're going to talk to us about like dreaming again and like finding your spunk and your spark again. But I didn't know all this stuff about like captain of your field hockey team in college. Like that's not a little thing to play collegiate sports, to be the captain of the team, a very successful realtor, pharmaceutical sales, all that. So you just have pretty much kicked butt wherever you've gone, whatever you've done. What is it? How do you feel when I say that? Is that like a little bit like, no, no, or is it like, no, it's true? And then like there was a period there where I was like, what do I kick butt in? Or
Both. It's all true, and it's no, no. Please don't tell anybody else. But when I first was asked to write a bio, it was someone, I don't remember who it was. They said, "Yeah, this is when you tell everybody what you've done," and I don't. Oh, that makes it's just yucky. But it comes from an unhealthy place. I think for my whole life, I'm the oldest of four girls. We were always vying for attention, and I was a doer. Straight A's, just everything I could be the best at. I tried to be. Certainly didn't. I'm not the best in everything, but it was to be approved of and please people, as my parents, and then professors and bosses, and so on and so forth. So I think that this journey in this business has really helped heal me of perfectionism. And instead of being a human doer, I'm a human beer much more now. So stepping into a really healthful way of living, of just interacting with people, and just the way I view myself, I think is much. I am not a people pleaser or seeking approval from others quite as often anymore.
that is such, obviously it's significant growth. Obviously anybody could listen to that and say, what incredible self-awareness, what incredible growth you've done. And then I think the other thing to point out is that, you captain the field hockey, successful in real estate, successful in pharmaceutical sales. And then somebody might say, so what would something like Juice Plus or the Juice Plus community offer you different from that? And it sounds like you're at least already alluding to it, that for whatever reason, maybe it's the right timing, as well as this community, there was something in this experience that helped you shift from the doing to the being, accepting yourself as you are and not needing to really be attached to other people's opinions.
Yes. And I think that might transition well to just even how that I wasn't interested in the business. I didn't need the business. I was a stay-at-home mom. I still qualify myself as a stay-at-home mom, or I guess I'm a work-from-home mom now. But my husband makes a wonderful living. He's still in biotech, an executive in his career, top level in his industry. And I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I had worked since I was 13, and so I'm with the Juice Plus company because the product changed our lives. And I said yes at a time when I was in really, gosh, I could say the darkest hour, but at that time it was the darkest hour. We've been through many dark hours since I've said yes to the Juice Plus business. But I think I was just at this place of molding and just saying, what do you have for me? What is my purpose? I'm a wife, I'm a mom, but everything feels like it's failing and I'm just not thriving here. So it was saying yes to the nutrition that changed our lives, and I just started talking about it naturally, and so that's where then things progress. So I don't know where you'd want me to go from here, if you want me to
No,
keep
no,
going
that,
here,
that
but yeah, that's where I found myself when I said yes to Juice Plus. It was not at all the business. I said no to the business. I said no to the product for a year and a half. I said no to the business for even longer.
Yeah. No, I don't want to, I can't speak to the other things that you've done because, we haven't talked about those things, but what I hear there is that the foundation, the core, the kind of the why this started was just for these really pure and just like, we want to just get healthy reasons, as opposed to what's the next thing I can conquer, because I can conquer whatever I set out to conquer, but that's not why I started here. And because I started, it almost sounds like for the right reasons, or at least those reasons, not saying the others are wrong, that it just steered the direction and the journey in a different way. Anyway, so let's start back at the beginning. You you started Juice Plus, was it 7 or 8 years ago? Something like that. You heard about it about 9 years ago. You guys
Yeah.
kind of said, nah, no, for a year and a half. So take us back to hearing about it, why you didn't say yes right away. And then when you did say yes, what that did for you guys.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I think just to kind of wrap up the previous point and the question that you asked, I'm okay with curveballs. I've had a lot of them in the last 7 years. So I think I was at a point of feeling like a failure for the first time, maybe, like just I was feeling like I was failing as a mom. I was told I couldn't be a mom. That's a whole other story, a whole other conversation for another time. That's something you and I didn't talk about last week either. I keep so many secrets from you, Billy. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But not really. But I was in this dark place, and I had been in a place of quarantining from home and being in the doctor's office, and my background is pharmaceuticals, and so drugs were my life. The science of it, I mean, Juice Plus is science. That's again in a whole other conversation, amazing. But I was saying yes to everyone that I trusted because I felt like we were desperate. And so we were making radical changes in most people's opinion. I went all whole foods, lots of fruits and veggies, took out the gluten, took out the dairy, took out the refined sugars, which was really hard for me because I was a sugar addict. But it was because my boys were super allergic and super sick. I had been as a teenager and adult, but it was just me. So it didn't get me down. I pushed through, but these babies were miserable. And my former knowledge and my former profession with pharmaceuticals, they weren't helping. And so I said, this is no quality of life. Something's got to give, and we need help. And so we had already changed our diet. My best friend from childhood introduced Juice Plus to me. She did all the right things. She showed me a video. She brought me to an event at her house. I was all in. I'm like, fruits and vegetables, that's it. It's safe. It's got science. Yes, please. Brought it home. My husband was like, "Ooh, we don't need that. I'm not spending money on that. We eat healthy enough." And so it was kind of this wah wah moment. And then we proceeded to say no for a year and a half to eating Juice Plus, because I wanted to honor and respect my husband, even though for me, I was dying inside a little bit each day because he was leaving the house and providing for our family. And I was the one navigating through these two littles that were, just uh, miserable. So, all that to say, it came to a point where I just came to him and I said, "Listen, you are losing me. And it's not because I was walking away. Please don't hear that. My marriage is amazing." But I was not the person he married. I felt like I was a zombie. I was basically living for nap time and bedtime, just trying to get through the day and kind of treading water. It's like you're just above the water. That's how I felt. And I had felt that way for years. And so I said, "Listen, we had our fun money. We just have joint accounts. And so we gave each other this fun money to have, lunches with friends, whatever. But I said, I'm going to spend my fun money on Juice Plus. Sutton, our oldest, can get it for free. I'll pay for the child's for Luke. We'll be sent on our way. He goes, fine, fine. If that's what you want to do, fine. I don't think we need it. And so I said yes. And within months, our health went from feeling very desperate to thriving, Billy. I don't know if you'd like me to expand, but
Well, I think it's a great place to pause too, though, because what we do is we go out there and we talk about health with people, and we talk about plants and capsules and meals and pouches and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, sometimes I think people might look at us and go, okay, so you sell another thing, but the truth is, for your life, this radically changed your life. I mean, just making a shift in your kids' health, especially. And I see it. I think what I see, tell me if I'm wrong, is you're like, yeah, kind of doing things well matters to me. And I don't feel like I'm doing this mom thing well, even though I love being a mom, because my kids aren't thriving. And I want them to thrive, and there has to be a better way. There has to be kind of a better life to live. So yeah, just that level of impact that can happen when we just get fruits and vegetables in our kids' bodies. I think some people can think we like overstate that. We're like, all right, you love plants, like, no, we really do. And it really makes a difference.
yeah, it changed our life. And it's the first why that I started paying it forward. It took us from everything that felt hard started to feel simple and better. Just breathing, sleeping, going to the bathroom, stopped getting sick so much. I could go on and on. Hormone regulation, got off medications we were told we'd take forever. And that is the first why. I just found myself doing life. We were no longer stuck in our house. Like, my kids were going to school. I was talking to moms in pickup line. We were going to the playground. We were having play dates. We were able to get together with family, all the things we hadn't been able to do. So yes, when your quality of life changes, yeah, I think we take it for granted. I think the things that we say normal, like our allergies, like our lack of sleep, those things actually aren't normal. They're just common. And I'm not okay with that. So yes, I absolutely want to do things well, for sure. I thought, gosh, why, God, did you give me these kiddos? And now, so we could, again, I feel like I'm prompting a whole bunch of other conversations we could have for other days. Anyway, I found myself hearing women, especially, that's where I hung out with most of the days, sharing needs and desires. And I just responded as women and men do often, because we want to love and care for people. I think that's in all of us. Can I tell you what I'm doing? I don't know. Maybe it'll help you too. I knew nothing. All I knew was that it was food and that it had science. That's all I knew. I'm not a fancy communicator. That's all I asked. And that's what started, me on this mission. But I didn't say yes to the business. I said, no, no, no. I do not like the B word. No, thank you. Don't need it. I'll send them all to you. And that's what I did. Sent them all to my friend.
Yeah. So you guys started on the product. I guess Ben eventually saw the impact and he got on board. And then it was only like 5 months later that you did become a partner, but I don't think it was with the intent of, I'm going to build this massive, win all the awards business. But yeah, like you said, you were referring a lot of people to your friend. And then even when you became a partner, I love how you put it. I think you said, like, not intentionally, not because you're like this business, you were this business mastermind with Juice Plus, but you started telling everybody you need to sign up to be a partner too. Like, and you need to get a couple of customers. And anyway, your business exploded, but you didn't intend for it to. So tell us about that.
Sure. And Ben actually it was a major tension point for a while. Ben did not say yes. He absolutely saw our pocketbook, our wallets, not draining money with pharmaceutical bills and medical bills anymore. He definitely saw all of us in better moods, having better energy, not getting sick so much. It wasn't until my friend came to me and said, Jennifer, you literally, with all the people you've sent me, would be paying for all of your family's Juice Plus. Ben, you know, you could get it for Ben and he wouldn't, like she knew our in and outs because we lived life together. And she said, Ben wouldn't complain about it anymore. And that's why I said, yes, please, right now. And at the time it was $50. I'm like, whatever. And so I said yes to becoming a partner. Within 10 days, I got my Partner Plus and my QSC from start to finish. And it was because, and I didn't know I was doing the power of three. I was operating out of a place of insecurity because I convinced myself that no one else where I live at the time I lived in the inner city of Richmond, Virginia. We lived there on purpose to serve and just had a mission, just mission minded there. And I thought no one else is going to prioritize this. They're not going to put their money there. And so as I was hearing these needs, though, I was also trying to fill that need. So it was, like I said, out of insecurity. I said, I don't need your sales profit. So you can be just my customer if you want to, but why don't you be your own customer? Get your sales profit. And if this makes sense to you, help you, your husband, your mom, like it's super simple. And so I quickly got 3 partners, 2 Partner Plus with me. And then, yeah, it went from there. 2 of those 3 became QSCs. I got another QSC and 2 of those became SCs and I got another SC and it just kind of kept going. I was a sales coordinator in just over 60 days and had my first comma paycheck, after 3 months. And that's when my second why, I felt like, I don't know, when you leave the corporate world where I was a 6-figure income earner in corporate America. I was an equal contributor to our household. We made a lot of changes, sold houses, moved smaller, did smaller, made lots of cuts. We were saying no to a lot of things. We were hoarding our money. So we weren't giving that much. We weren't saving or investing really. We weren't doing or experiencing. I mean, we weren't even going on dates. So for me, that bigger paycheck, I thought, oh, what if? What if we could say yes to more things? And all those things were important to me that I just said, for sure, giving especially. And I can circle back to that in a little bit. But the biggest thing for me, Billy, was that my kindergartner, my oldest son at the time, he was in kindergarten, and my heart just broke for his experience there. And I wanted a different choice for education. And there's this classical Christian school right around the corner from us. And my husband and I just weren't aligning on the timing of that. And that's not to say anything against, 2 people, we think differently, we want differently sometimes, even though we're in a marriage and we love one another and we have end goals that are the same, right? But we just weren't aligning on the timing. And so that gave me courage, that first bigger paycheck early on. I thought, oh, what if I could help our baby go there quicker? And so that's kind of where I really started to get vision for more.
Yeah, I do think that this is actually a fairly common story. It's not common maybe in how it all ended up, right? Because not everybody wins 39 club, 24 club, rookie 12 club rookie. Not everybody gets a 75 club NMD, but I do think it's a common story in terms of marriage for anybody isn't like, oh, wow, what you're thinking is exactly what I was thinking. How is this? Every day we think the same thing. It doesn't happen that way. No, we are walking our own kind of struggles and viewpoints and whatever through life. And probably as we hear, he's over here like being the one income earner. And he's like, yeah, we got to be careful because I'm the only one earning. This is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of responsibility to do this. So and you're over here like, I get it, but at the same time, our kids aren't thriving, and I'm starting to realize there's more that I want. Anyway, I think you're speaking to a lot of people. You're speaking to a lot of people because you've had these conversations with a lot of moms, I'm sure, right? Or there are other moms out there, other spouses who've experienced what the 2 of you have walked through, right?
Yeah, well, and I think that is something that is a misperception. I'm horrible with grammar, so I'm sorry if that's the right word. But a lot of people have commented. Not a lot. That's not fair. Many people have commented and said, "Well, gosh, it's just been easy for you. Your husband and you have a great marriage. Your kids are healthy. Whatever, fill in the blanks for you," right? I feel like we can all sit in that, and we've been told that in one way, shape, or form. And it's just not true. It's just not true. Ben and me argued about this for years. even as he agreed for me to, when I said, after I was asked to go to my first conference 8 times at least. I'm not even kidding you. It was no, 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 no. And it wasn't until, that last conversation and that pleading with Ben that he said yes. And I went and I heard Casey Schloss give her NMD speech. And that was the moment that I looked at my friend and Wendy Vance, who taught me really everything. I looked at them and I said, I want to do that. And I pointed at Casey. And it was that 4 months into my journey of signing up for the business that I went there and I came home. And even then, Ben was like, great. It's like, I mean, he loves me so much. And I think, and I try to help women understand that come into our business, that I don't think 99% of our husbands don't want us to do this business. They're just our protectors and our providers, and they want to honor and respect our marriage and our time. I'm a yes girl. So he was trying to protect my boundaries and what was important and right and best for us as a couple and as a family. And so that's really where his intent was. And though my desires and my vision and my why was growing as I was continuing to plug in to what I was being invited to and introduced to.
This is incredible, because what you're saying is something was growing inside of you and you could feel it and you could see it. And of course you would feel it and see it before he does, because it's growing inside of you. And this is a different type of business than you've really ever been in. It can be a little bit like real estate in the way that people do real estate nowadays, Keller Williams, et cetera. But for the most part, this was also different, right? And so it's like, anyway, there can be a lot of questions, but I want to go back to Casey Sloss and that conference. So you finally get to conference, you hear, and most people in our world at least know who Casey Schloss is and know what a powerful speaker she was. She was in pharmaceuticals in a different way, not in sales, but I guess in sales, but she was a pharmacist.
Yep.
But what do you remember, either what she said, or a lot of times we say we remember more about how people made us feel than what exactly they said. But when you were sitting there and you said, that's it, I want to do that, what all kind of came together, whether it was like you had started to dream before you even got there, then she says something, you're sitting there, what hits you, what kind of all aligns, and you just go, I'm going after it, I'm going all the way?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. I think there's a couple of things at least. One, yeah, she's a very powerful speaker for sure. I mean, she's very passionate. She knows her stuff, and she loves her family. And so I think I resonated first and foremost with that. I can't remember if she had her daughter on. I think she did. Yeah, because her daughter was less than a year old. And I connected with her grit because I had been a new mom. And I'm like, oh my word, how the heck did she do that? Plus working a full-time job and on maternity leave and all the emotions and things that go into all of this. And so her grit, her passion for her family, her background, even though it wasn't exact, I really resonated with that. And also separately, the third party validation, right? So the way I've grown my business, and we can talk about this a little later, but is connection calls and events, especially big events. Those two things I credit entirely to why our organization looks the way it does and how I've taught that and duplicated that. So the fact that the people, my friend, my upline continue to invite me into this and to get me to a big event, it's that third party validation in addition to the person. It was just our system. Our system is so simple, and it absolutely is successful if you do it consistently.
Yeah, and you're talking about Casey was really a third party validation for you, because now you're hearing another voice, somebody you don't know, and they're saying, and then, yeah, you did tell me, you said the two things that you did and continue to do to grow your business are connection calls and the big events. And before I ask you to tell us why and all about that, everybody who's out there listening who doesn't do that predominantly, they're thinking, those are so scary and hard. Like, it's so hard to get people on a connection call, or I don't know how, or it's so hard to get people too big. I invite everybody and nobody shows up, all these kind of reasons why it's hard. And of course, then our top leaders tell us, well, the harder it is, the more impact it's going to have. And that's, it kind of is correlated. But tell us, you are a busy mom of little kids, and that is where you put your focus. And I think a lot of us can put our focus on doing, but it's not really activities that produce big impact. But
Yeah.
those are the most impactful, even though they're the things that a lot of people shy away from for different reasons.
Yeah.
Talk to us about it.
Okay, I will talk to you about that, but I also want to say a little bit about, so I think there's two things here, Billy, is our why gives us our when and our what, and I think it's reframing the no. And our mindset is very crucial to our growth and our success in helping to change people's lives. So that is still the root of my why. This changed my family's life, first with our health, now with what we are able to say yes to. And so just coming back to that, in that first bigger paycheck, it was, I think I told you, it was exactly 4 years from that first comma to then 5 figures a month. 4 years. So think about what you've done in the last 4 years, and our success is not measured by money. Please do not hear me say that, but choices make us rich. And this has given me choices like you wouldn't believe, not just monetarily and the experiences we get to have and the ways we get to give and the ways we get to save and invest, but the time freedom, and the choices. My husband, because I have the benefits with our family from the Juice Plus company as a top leader, my husband was able to take a leap into a smaller biotech industry with a startup company that was scary because it wasn't this big pharma protection, but because had been carrying the benefits. So many yeses we've gotten to give because of this. And so it was that first check. And so I would ask, what would excite you? My things aren't necessarily your things. What do you want to be able to say yes to? Maybe it's just the gymnastics class and the new pair of shoes, because you usually have to pick between. My husband and I were picking between either or, right? Because we were scared of losing. We had one income, so we were just keeping it all huddled close together. So anyways, asking yourself what if, and what is important to you, and what would you like to say yes to? And so for me, that why, that connection to that gave me the want to. And so I just raised my hand and I said, tell me what to do, because I was still operating out of a place of insecurity. Number one, I said, I don't want this to affect my quality of life and my time with my children. And how can I keep this simple, so I'm not recreating the wheel? I just, tell me what to do. So I was very, and still am, very coachable. And I just became a student of the system. And I literally would, I think I told you this, I would get somebody on the phone call and put my earbud in my left ear and have my youngest child, Luke, who was 3 at the time, on my right. And I would introduce the person to Wendy, and I would mute myself and then read a book to Luke. So because I came from, I think, a place of, I had belief in the product and what it had done for me, but I just felt insecure about how to communicate to myself. And I was convinced I didn't have to be the expert. So I've always wanted other people to work for me. So connection calls, they work for you. Events, the people in the front of the room, they work for you. You just get to sit and listen and participate, or sit and take it in, and then follow up and be like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. What did you get out of it though? So I love being the inviter. I love being the lover and the helper and the carer and the follow-upper. I'm great at those things, inviting and following up for sure. But I love other people to give me my third-party validation. So I don't know. I think I may have just gone on a tangent. Did that answer your question?
No. You exactly answered the question. I do think that, other people might hear, wow, it sounds like you're just perfect for doing those two things. And it does sound like you said a mindset where if somebody else is struggling with doing those things for whatever fear or excuse or reason they have, they actually have to develop a love for the things they're inviting to, right? If they're like, oh no, this is the way, it's not my voice, it's not sending another email, it's not posting another post on social media, it's not, organizing my office, but I've got to really fall in love with those activities, for whatever reason, and you just named yours. if I'm really going to be able to do it. And of course, as you said, you got to have a why to do any of this. I love that you said choices are what make us rich. And you said the why leads to the when and the what. So if you're taking notes, I'm sure you're writing down everything, but don't don't forget to write those things down. I know on your journey to NMD is a little over 2 years, or about 2 years journey to NMD. You guys went through a lot of life. Like, I mean, there's already a lot of life. You just got two small kids, but you went through a lot of other life. But you made another great statement we can write down, which is you didn't let your circumstances rule you. And I just wanted you to talk for a second about how, you can mention some of those challenges if you want to on the way to NMD, just so people have an idea, but then just your general rule of life for how you deal with challenges. You're headed towards this goal, but then, roadblocks come in the way. What do you do?
Yeah.
How do you handle it?
Yeah. Well, I think, I touched on this, just the reframing the no. Well, I think some, just to share a little bit more about where I'm coming into it is I think I'm going to talk about this shameless plug for Peachtree Bootcamp, February 4th and 5th. I am going to talk a lot more about the hardship, the highlight reel, and then the things that are life happening. And, I think along the way, almost all of us, I don't think all of us do this, but we stop asking why. I think somewhere along the way, someone tells us to stop doing that, or something happens where we just stop whying, dreaming, thinking, what if? And so then the no's, and usually it's because there was a no associated with it. And I think we need to reframe the no. The thing is, so what, you get a no to not talking to your friend Wendy, or whoever your upline person is you're connecting with. So what? Get them to the next yes. The mere invitation is getting you into the process. It's maybe you're just building the relationship stronger. Maybe you're just having a connection point. Actually, did you know you get to decide if you want to continue to pursue that relationship or not? That you want to share details with them, that you want to share the business with them. So I think we don't embrace the power that we actually have of our own choice. And then I think that if we can start to take the power away from the no, and just in KNOW, that most people, think about yourself and buying power and decisions you've made, houses you've bought, people you've said yes to having dinner with, whatever. It usually takes 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 or 8 exposures. And so think about, if that's you, and that is my Juice Plus story. I said no lots of times before I said yes. Why do we expect immediately that someone's going to say yes without having educational exposures, invitations to experience our community, seeing on a bigger level, boot camps and conferences, what our company is and who it attracts? So I think we need to stop giving so much power to the no and reframe it. And it's just a not yet. And just because it's a no to an event, or say, okay, well, I want to spend time with you, so what will you say yes to? I don't believe in beating around the bush. It's not a pressure thing. It's just okay, well, I want to hang out with you. So, and if you never want to talk about Juice Plus, okay, whatever. I'd be curious as to why, but that's okay. I still want to hang out with you. So, anyways, yeah, I got to NMD in just over 2 years. You heard all the things in the intro of what my team has accomplished and what I've been recognized for. You would think it's come very easy. In the 7 years I've shared Juice Plus, we've moved 3 times. I've moved in an elderly aunt, my dad's older sister, who's oh so amazing, but has financial needs, health needs, and hi, that's me. I'm doing the do. So we've got 3 generations in our house, trying to do it all well. But we've lost family members. My husband, we lost his twin sister. A year later, we lost one of our best friends. And then my best friend and sponsor left the business. And so I think if we look at anybody and judge based on what he or she looks like, or how fast he or she, or how strong he or she looks, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, and we're giving that power back to the no, and we're not stepping into our true capacity and ability. And so I've just always stayed very connected to why I said yes. And then the women that have trusted me enough to say yes with me and what it's done in their lives, it's just not anything I'll walk away from. I don't, but I do think that unless you've got that connection to why, you're not going to want to, and you're not going to have that consistency or that follow up. And consistency is key, and fortunes in the follow up. That's what I was always taught. And it's been true for our organization.
You said so many amazing things there. People should listen to this, by the way, like 5 times. But one thing that I'm hearing, I might not state it as well as you'll probably reframe it, because you'll say it really well, is a lot of us live outside of ourselves. Maybe that's like envying what somebody else has, or making these assumptions or judgments, or, it's probably so easy for her, well, yeah, she can do it, but I can't, or whatever it might be. Or, well, they just are all saying no, and like, so, and then that no, like you said, has power because it just stops us, or it makes us think something's not possible. We're living outside of ourselves. And it seems like you have become very good at living kind of centered, not inside yourself in terms of like selfishly, no, not looking at yourself, but really knowing your core values, really knowing what you're about, really being able to keep moving through the things that happen to you, being very grounded. How did that happen? Where'd you get that? We all want it. Where'd you get it?
Well, I know this is a business conversation, but
Go for it.
it's only but God. So it is. If it were up to Jennifer Saval, I'd be laying in the fetal position probably most of the day, and that is not a joke. So, I think that I wake up at 5 every morning. I went for a time when I was going for NMD. I woke up at 4:30 because the number one thing for me to do is, people ask me, what books do you read for personal development? The Bible. It's the number one leadership development book that you could possibly read. And I'm certainly not ever trying to offend anyone with this conversation, but it's worth the pickup, and when you know that this world is not the end and there's something greater waiting for you, you can have joy and hope through, at least for me, through every circumstance I've been in so far. And who knows where God's taking me. But that is who gets all the glory and credit, and he gives us choices. So, he gave us the power to choose. And so I say yes to him, and I say yes to continuing to step in. And he's just shown me time and time again that this is absolutely where I'm supposed to be. And so that's where I give the credit. But yeah, I've been the one to say, yes, God, and I'm going to keep stepping into that. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm not great at compartmentalizing things. I just live in the and. So this is happening and this, right? So we can, and please don't ever hear me saying that if you don't keep moving forward when you're facing a hardship or trauma or a loss, that that you're never going to make it, or that's the wrong choice. I am not saying that. We have choices, and we usually have at least 2, right? So if we have to stop and pause or step back, and that is right and best for you, for your emotional, for your mental, for your spiritual health, yes. For me, and my spiritual, mental, emotional, physical health, it was continuing to say yes to this business because it kept me in a positive. I mean, think about it. We are paying forward health, a help for health, and a help for more choices to help people, depending on how many people they want to help and how much they're willing to focus on this. Because I don't think what we do is hard. I don't think the system is hard. Inviting to connection calls, inviting to events. I think consistency and follow up are hard. And I think because that can really mess with us, right? But we are in a place of doing good for good with people. And for me, going through those hard things, and I mean, guys, when my husband lost his sister, I mean, I really felt like for a long time she was the only advocate in that side of my family for us. When she was gone, we had a very difficult time. We went through counseling. It was very, very difficult. And though my husband saw in me when I was giving time to this business and doing calls for my team and going to events and showing other women what this looked like, the life that was coming out of me, so but that's me, and I'm deeply connected to why I'm doing this, and I love showing other women, and no offense, Billy, but most of my team is women. I want men to join us too. We just haven't, don't have any man that's doing this quite yet, but to step into the yes for their life, to start dreaming again, to start living again. And so even when the life is happening, you can be living too, right? So it doesn't have to be a halt. We can keep living in the life, because life's never going to stop. So I can either continue to do good for good and it bring me joy too, or I can stop. But I love that I have that choice. And so I just want to be someone that's an encourager in that.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Everything you're saying is incredible. Keep living in life. The one thought that did come to mind is that a lot of what you're saying to me seems like when people see a light start to shine kind of this brightly, but also this calmly, not intensely, like I'm in your face, I'm a light, that's not fun. But when it's just glowing, people go, most people don't do that. Like, what are you doing?
Yep.
And some people will go, tell me more. But then there will be a lot of people who go, that's not normal. It looks good, but it's also not normal. It's not normal for you. It's not normal for most people. So I question it,
Yeah.
or it takes me a little longer to ramp up to it. And what I hear you saying is you're like, and through all of it, I just keep shining. I just keep trusting. So through all of it, let's hit on this really quick, and we'll be landing the plane soon. But you referenced your best friend from childhood, 35 plus years,
35 years,
best friend, brought you in the business, you two incredibly successful, however long ago it was, year or two ago. She left. I'm sure she wanted you to go with her. I don't know if she, I don't know her well, but expected you to go with her, thought you would go with her. I don't know. But probably, I mean, I know how she recruited you into the business in the first place, or at least the product. So I'm sure she didn't give up easily. But you immediately said no, and you've obviously stuck to that, and you told us kind of your reasons why. But I'm sure, especially for people who are in the know, they'd love to hear you just address, because you were probably the first person in all of Juice Plus, or one of the first, that went through what we've kind of now all gone through over the last year. Last year and a half, 2 years has been challenging, because of kind of the way that some people have operated. I hope that's okay. I think that's fair to say, the choices they've made, and I'm not talking about leaving, I'm talking about what they've done after they've left. And so it's been hard for all of us, but you were the first, or one of the first. And gosh, best friend since for 35 years. More personal for you than anybody else, or as personal. So what was it like when you heard? Were you shocked? How did you know to say no right away? And why have you stuck with it? Though you kind of already alluded to it. What do you want to say? Whatever you would like to speak to this situation.
Sure. Thanks. And I always seek to honor everyone involved, because we're all human beings. And I do believe and trust that all human beings were created out of love. And so to treat them with love and respect, even when we disagree with their decisions, even when they're making choices that are hard for us, or even sitting against us. There's so many things I could say about this, and we don't have enough time. But for me, yes, I knew before everybody else, and I was asked multiple times, as was my husband, in ways that felt really, really hard. And I did immediately said no. And but it was in that moment that I realized that her why was not strong. And we're different. We're all individuals. We're all different people. And, Leanne Gordon, who has also been a mentor of mine, along with Wendy Vance and so many others, especially in these last 2 years, my upline has been incredible. Leanne Gordon said, some people will do this for a season and some people will do this for a lifetime. And I assumed we would do this for a lifetime together, but we all know what happens when we assume. We learned that early on, right? So that was quickly evident to me that why she was doing this was not because why I was doing that. And where it felt very hard, and please know this has not been a short process, so I'm at a very healthy place to be able to talk about this, that this is a business. And so people come into this business with all different reasons. And for me, I came into this business because it changed my family's life and our quality of life. And so I believe so much in what these products have to offer. I am so grateful for the way Jay Martin has kept this business a private company to be able to give ordinary people like you and me an opportunity to do extraordinary things if we want to, with the company providing everything for us. I have never created anything. Everything I've ever used is from the Freedom Revolution. What people have taught me that have now appeared on the Freedom Revolution, that's what we use, the tried and proven power of three system. But I think this has given me a more healthy perspective when I am leading people. So the only thing my team had to hear was that I wasn't going anywhere because they're loyal to me. And I am so, so grateful for the women and men in my team. But people will do this for a season or they'll do it for a lifetime or somewhere in between. And as long as they're showing up and being true to themselves, I'm going to walk alongside of them. And and in this case, our values stopped aligning, our interests stopped aligning. And so, whereas it's, like you pointed out, we have been friends for 35 years. It looks different. It looks a whole lot different now. And that's okay. That's okay, because there's seasons in friendship and there's seasons in relationship too, just like there's seasons in our business. So I don't know. I don't know what else I'd want to say about that, except for we can't let anyone else be driving our ship. You have to know where you're going. And when you know why you're doing something and why you're doing something, when you want it, where you're going, no lack of response, nobody, your upline sponsor leaving, a move, all the things, the noise, the life that's happening. No one's going to get you off your path. So I've just stayed in my lane. I've kept my head down and I've continued to reconnect to why I'm doing this. And that's all I can do. Doesn't mean it's looked perfect. Doesn't mean it hasn't been hard, but I just want to show up and be authentic and true to my morals, my values, and why I said yes to this. And it hasn't faded.
It clearly hasn't faded, because that's how you showed up today. Sounds like that's how you show up every day. It's incredible. I go back to what you just said, to your phrases, the why leads to the when and the what. And your why, as you said, the whys were different and they led to different wins and whats. And also choices make us rich. And there's different definitions of rich for different people. And that, I don't know, it's just powerful and beautiful. Last question. So I mentioned that we've all been through a lot in the Juice Plus community, both because the whole world's been through a lot. Gosh, in our community, there's been a lot of loss, because of the pandemic, and in other ways. There's been fear, and there's been anger, and there's been sadness, and there's been discord, and there's been challenges, and there's just been life, and life at a deep level. I mean, life happens all the time, but man, it's like been hyper life for the last couple of years. So many people listen to you. Your voice is so well respected, and deservedly so. And after spending the last 48 minutes with you, like, I was a fan, and now I'm like a raving fan of Jennifer Saval. But
Thank
if you had like a final paragraph of like a 45-minute talk on stage, but you had a final paragraph where you were like, the whole Juice Plus community and partnership is listening right now, what would the final paragraph that you would leave us with?
you. Okay. Thank you for asking me that. And I'm more of a bullet point gal than a paragraph gal. So I think that the first thing, and you've heard this many times, but that just goes back to, our system. It is, we're not doing anything new. People ask me all the time, what are you doing now? I'm like, the same exact thing I was doing 6.5, 7 years ago. Connection calls, events, videos, follow up. Anyway, the first thing I would just encourage you is to know why you've said yes. What are you excited about? What would get you excited for this? Why did you say yes in the first place? And take yourself back to that. Ask yourself, what was life like before? What is it like now? And what are you hopeful or excited for? Right? And then the second thing is, again, you've heard this already, but stop giving so much power to no. Right? Stop giving so much power to it. It just is not yet, because people don't KNOW enough. So they're saying NO. But there's always a next yes. And so what does that look like? Maybe you don't have the relationship yet. Maybe you don't have the strength and the trust and the integrity in the relationship yet. That's not saying anything bad about you. It's just, okay, where's the relationship? Maybe you just haven't asked the right questions. Maybe you don't know enough about the person yet to know their needs or their desires, especially if you're coming at them with a commercial. Nobody's got time for that or interested in that. So, connecting with people. So reframing the no and helping yourself understand that there's just, this is a series of exposures over time, and you get to decide how many exposures and how often, right? Based on what's right and best for the communication, the relationship. And going back to the first thing, your why. And then the third thing I would finish and ask is just, what if? So what, Billy? What if people listen to this and do nothing? Okay, fine. Life doesn't change. Nothing, business doesn't change, right? So we're talking about Juice Plus business here. Juice Plus business doesn't change. If you are happy with that, then celebrate it, right? You don't have to be in comparison mode. So a lot of these promotions are going out at the end of the month. Some people might be like, I didn't do it. So what? Do you know how many goals I made that I missed? Because I made the goal, though, I eventually got them. And then I was surprised with some, right? I never set a goal for an Elton. I had no idea what the Eltons were. I thought I was going to a fancy dinner and wearing a dress that was too tight. Okay. So all that to say, what if? So what if nothing, do nothing, nothing changes? Great. Fine. Unless you're not happy with that, then what if you do something to move forward? What if you ask the friend to lunch to hear your story in your heart? What if you invite that person that last event you were like, darn it, I wish she was here with me? What if everything changes? What if? So I think going back to choices make us rich. I want to be significant. And if that significance leads us to financial success or whatever, fine, if that's what God has for me. But I want to know that what I'm doing is not for me, it's for others. And so that's where I lead into it. And if we are just knowing we have at least two choices, right? What if I do this? I don't know. That's not wrapping up as nicely as I would have liked it to have sounded, Billy. But I think that just, what if you've got two choices? If you do nothing, fine, whatever, nothing changes. If you like it, good, celebrate it. If you're not happy with it, then ask, what if I do something? And what if that next person you talk to is your next national marketing director? Because one of the people I kept coming back to because I believed in her so much was my first national marketing director. So I just know my story. I know what has happened in my story, and I know that it can happen for others too, because I don't do anything perfect. I don't do it fancy. I mess up all the time. And so, but through the life that keeps happening and however I mess it up, this has been extremely life-giving. And I would just encourage people to think about what is right and best for you. What are you hoping to say yes to? And what if this could be the path to it?
And if you're not feeling rich, then make another choice,
Mhm.
right? Choices make us rich. Oh my goodness, this was just the best hour, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I hope if you did listen to this, then you will now go out and share it with 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. The world needs to hear not just this message, the world needs to hear Jennifer's heart. Just like they need to experience your light. Like this is more than just words. So thank you for sharing more than words with us, not just doing, but being with us during this time. It's a great gift we can give so many this Christmas and Hanukkah season. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Thank you so much.